this is Seema Jhalani, your mentor from KYMS Academy, and I welcome you all once again to this platform of learning and knowledge. Previous year questions CAT 24 slot 3 series is going on, and already we are done with 8 questions of verbal ability section, and out of the 4 RCs, today we are going to discuss RC1. So let's get started and together we make it happen. A very short quote, which is an anonymous quote. Stillness in chaos reveals the path. So basically what this quote says that like a journey of life, even the journey of preparing for examination is like a roller coaster ride. You are going to see ups and downs in your performances, but do not give up. Just keep practicing, keep learning from the mistakes, and follow the path of success through hard work and consistency. So let's start with the beautiful passage today. Now today's passage is analytical in style. Why analytical? Because in this passage the author has talked about the premium brand of alcohol, that is Monte. Okay, its success not only financially but also economically. And then author has also talked about the challenges that the Monte brand it faced. So let's get started with the passage now. Monte has been the global booze sensation of the decade. A bottle of its Flying Fairy, which sold in the 1980s for the equivalent of $1, now retails for $400. Monte's listed shares have soared by almost 600% in the past 5 years, outpacing the likes of Amazon. So basically in this paragraph, you can see that the first line is actually important, and it talks about Monte as a premium brand manufacturer. Okay, and it is doing well, not only financially but also economically. So as you can see that through these figures the author is trying to say कि financially इसने बहुत grow किया है, and even the market size is also increasing. Clear? It does this while disregarding every Western marketing mantra. It is not global, has meager digital sales, and does not appeal to millennials. It scores pitifully on environmental, social, and governance measures. In the Boy Scout world of Western business, it would leave a bad taste in more ways than one. Now, in this paragraph, the author is basically talking about the वेस्टर्न बिजनेस गोल्स. तो नॉर्मली जो वेस्टर्न बिजनेस होते हैं वो पर्टिकुलर गोल्स को फॉलो करते हैं. तो बेसिकली व्हाट दे फॉलो, they want to go globally, they have a lot of digital sales, and they have a lot of appeal to millennials. Now you must be wondering कि when the sentence is written in negative, why I'm speaking in positive. So beta, here you can see that it here stands for Monte. Okay, so basically Monte is not following the goals of Western businesses. It means it is working unconventionally in a very different way. Okay, and not only unconventionally, but it is also running counter conventional to Western business models. तो वेस्टर्न बिजनेस मॉडल्स क्या करते हैं? दे ग्रो ग्लोबली, दे हैव अ लॉट ऑफ डिजिटल सेल्स, एंड दे अपील टू मिलेनियल्स. बट जो मोंटेई है वो ग्लोबल नहीं है, वो इंडिविजुअल है, मतलब वो अपनी खुद की कंट्री तक लिमिटेड है, और वहां पर उसका मीगर डिजिटल सेल्स है, एंड दे आर नॉट कैटरिंग टू दी मिलेनियल्स. तो बेसिकली वो किसको कैटर कर रहे होंगे? May be possible that we are going to see that thing in the upcoming paragraphs. Okay, so basically Monte it is going against the, or maybe in contradiction to the Western business models. Clear? And Monte is not even following ESG measures. अब ESG measures क्या होते हैं? Now basically जो Western business models होते हैं, they are thinking about the environment, they are thinking about the society. Okay, but Monte it is not thinking about the environment or society. It is actually working counter conventional to the Western business models. And then last line also says that it will leave a bad taste in more ways than one. Obviously, it is not going to be appealing for everybody. So let's see whether it is going to be appealing for everybody or not. So let's see. Monterey owes its intoxicating success to three factors. Now, there are three factors regarding the success of Monterey. Not all of them easy to emulate. Emulate means not easy to copy. First, so in this paragraph, the author is talking about the three factors, and out of the three factors, he is saying that firstly, it profits from Chinese nationalism. It means here we are talking about the nationalism, not globalism. Okay. Motiai is known as the national liquor. As you can see, that national liquor is given in inverted commas, which is very, very important. It is a national liquor. It was used to raise spirits and disinfect wounds in Mao's Long March. It was Premier Zhou Enlai's favorite tipple shared with Richard Nixon in 1972. So again, in this line, he has given certain examples with certain data. So when data is given, example is given, you can always skim that particular thing in the examination. So obviously, this line is not that important. All we have to see is that it has profited a lot from nationalism. Okay, it's centuries old craftsmanship. It is distilled 8 times and stored for years in earthenware jars. It is a source of national pride. So through these examples, author is trying to convey that this brand of alcohol in China is basically a symbol of national pride. So basically in this paragraph, the author is talking about the cultural significance of Montreal. Clear? So this was the first factor, which is nationalism. Second is, it chose to serve China's super rich rather than its middle class. So basically, the second factor that why the China Motiai, this brand, it has been very successful. The second reason is that they are catering to the super rich. Super rich here, we mean to say elite people. Okay, so they are not catering to the middle class people, but they are catering to the elite people. Markets are littered with the corpses of firms that could not compete in the cutthroat battle for Chinese middle class wallets. So यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो कि when they were catering to the middle class, okay, तो basically the entire market was full of corpses. Corpses means dead bodies. Because when somebody serves the middle class people, so basically middle class people, they go for some value. Okay, rather than spending much, they go for value. So in such cases, what happened, because stiff competition is there, so obviously such many organizations, they die over there because they are not able to compete with the stiff competition. And the country's premier market is massive at 73 million strong, bigger than the population of France. अब यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो जो प्रीमियम मार्केट था, मतलब दोज पीपल हु कैन हु कैन स्पेंड अ लॉट, जहाँ पर जो पीपल थे, कंज्यूमर्स थे, दे वर वेरी रिच एंड दे एक्चुअली कैन स्पेंड अ लॉट. तो उनका जो पोर्शन था वो कितना था, 73 मिलियन था, एंड विच इज बिगर देन द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ फ्रांस. Notes even McLeish or Bernstein, an investment firm, and still less crowded with prestige brands than advanced economies. Motiai is to these wheel hits drinkers what vintage champagne is to the rest of the world. It means in a country like China, where there are so many people who are ready to spend anything. So obviously Montaigne is basically equivalent to the vintage champagne which is to the rest of the world. तो जितनी importance यहाँ पर vintage champagne की बाकी की country में थी, उतनी ही importance उसके अकेली चाइना में है. Because people are ready to pay for the premium brand. Okay, so what two factors we have seen so far? First is nationalism, and second is that they were catering to the elite people. Third is Motiai looks beyond affluent millennials and digital natives. Now you see, Motiai, it looks beyond. It means they are not catering to the millennials. Millennials here, I would say, they do not cater to the youth. Okay, or those people who are, completely engrossed in net and or maybe they are completely engrossed in digital world. The elderly and the middle aged, it found, can be just as lucrative. So basically they were catering to the elderly and the middle aged. So in short, I can say that they were catering to the older demographics. और अगर वो ओल्डर डेमोग्राफिक को कैटर कर रहे थे तो वो भी उतनी ही प्रॉफिटेबल थी उनके लिए. लुक्रेटिव मींस प्रॉफिटेबल. Its biggest market now is male drinkers in their mid 30s. So basically, here author is saying that Motiai, it was not catering to the millennials, it was not catering to the youth. Basically, they were catering to the people of 30 years of age and maybe more than that, 30, 40, 50 elderly people as well. Many have no siblings thanks to 4 decades of China's one child policy, which also means their elderly parents can splash out on weddings and banquets. Montia is often a guest of honor. So why the author has given here the example of one child policy? The reason is because people who were of 30 years of age, or maybe the parents, they had only one sibling, okay, because one sibling hote the, so obviously they had a lot of money and they could have splashed a lot of money on their weddings. और वहाँ पर जब weddings होती थी तो basically they used to have monte as the liquor, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज्यादा प्रीमियम क्वालिटी की होती थी एंड बिकॉज दे हैड अ लॉट ऑफ मनी तो ऑब्वियसली दे कुड हैव स्पेंड ऑन मोंटेआइज ओनली एंड फॉर दैट रीजन मोंटेआई को यहाँ पर बोला गया है इट्स अ गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर. मोंटेआई हैज सक्सीडेड थैंक्स टू नेशनलिज्म, एलिटिज्म एंड एजिज्म. अब यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो in the previous 3 paragraphs we actually talked about these 3 things. Nationalism, it means it did not go globally. Elitism, it means it did not cater to the youth. I mean to say it did not cater to the middle class people. Ageism, here it means it catered to the older graphics, but it did not cater to the youth. So basically, these were the 3 things that were actually against the Western business models. So Western business model just इसके opposite things को preference देते थे. In other words, not in spite of this unholy trinity. Why the author has called unholy trinity? Because if these 3 things are the holy trinity for Motiais, it means unholy क्या रहा होगा उनके लिए? Globalism, non-elitism, and the youth, millennials. And who were following these 3 things? Western business models. तो जो वेस्टर्न बिजनेस मॉडल्स थे जो उसको फॉलो करते थे, तो बेसिकली मोंटेआई इट वाज गोइंग अगेंस्ट दोस 3 things, and for that reason unholy trinity word has been there, okay, but it faces risk. Now so far we have talked about the success of this premier brand, and now we are talking about the risk or the certain challenges associated with Montreal. The government is its largest shareholder, okay, the government has the major stake in the Montreal company and the meddlesome one. Meddlesome का मतलब होता है यहाँ पर interfering. तो गवर्नमेंट यहाँ पर ज्यादा स्टेक पर मतलब ज्यादा जो होल्डिंग था वो गवर्नमेंट का था, एंड ऑब्वियसली दे वर गवर्नमेंट वाज आल्सो बीइंग इंटरफेयरिंग. हाउ कम इंटरफेयरिंग? बेसिकली मोस्ट ऑफ द डिसीजंस वाज बीइंग टेकन बाय द गवर्नमेंट, क्योंकि ज्यादा उसका स्टेक था वहां पर. इट अपीयर्स टू वांट प्राइसेस टू रिमेन स्टेबल. नाउ हाउ कैन वी सी द इंटरफेरेंस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ओवर हियर? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ये चाहती थी कि मोतेआई शुड कीप द प्राइसेस वेरी स्टेबल, नॉट वेरी हाई. And there must be 2 reasons behind this. Maybe in order to lower the inflation, okay, or in order to maintain the stability or equality. Exorbitantly price boost is at odds with its professed socialist ideals. Exorbitantly price boost means the price of Montreal alcohol, it was very high, and it was not at variance to the socialist ideals of government. अब socialist ideals क्या होते हैं government के? That government it believes in equality, in stability, lowering down the inflation. So basically they were not at variance to each other. Okay, yet minority investors including many foreign funds lament. Lament यहाँ पर हम ये बोल सकते हैं they were not very happy, they were unhappy that Motiai's wholesale price is a third of what it sells for in shops. It means wholesale price is much less than the retail price. So if the wholesale price is less, obviously the minority investors, they are not going to get any benefit or much benefit, and so is the case with Motiaz also, तो उसको भी ज़्यादा benefit नहीं मिलेगा. Okay, raising it could boost the company's profits further. तो basically यहाँ पर जो minority investors ये चाहते हैं that the Monteai should increase the wholesale price so that it is going to boost the profit not only for the investors but for the Monteais as well. Instead, in what some see as a travesty of corporate governance, its majority owner has plans to set up its own sales channel. Now, what is the meaning of travesty of corporate governance? Travesty is basically, you can say, something which is ridiculous, grotesque figure of something. तो यहाँ पर जो corporate governance है, basically they are playing against some particular thing. So obviously they have no right to have a certain interference in the private sector, but they are doing that. And how they are doing that? They are doing that because they have certain plans to set up their own सेल्स चैनल. तो अगर वो अपने खुद के सेल्स चैनल को यहाँ पर सेटअप करेंगे, सो ऑब्वियसली इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ इंटरफेरेंस, इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट जो जनरली नहीं होना चाहिए. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन ऑथर हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट द ट्रावेस्टी ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस. इट बेसिकली मींस इट्स अ फॉल्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ ट्रूथ. In the long run, its biggest risk may be millennials. Now, what is the biggest risk? Millennials. Millennials means youth. Okay, now the very first thing, millennials को कौन टारगेट करते थे? वेस्टर्न बिजनेस. ओके, मोंटे किसको टारगेट कर रहा था? ओल्डर डेमोग्राफिक्स के लिए. तो बेसिकली वो मिलेनियल्स दे आर गोइंग टू बिकम रिस्क फॉर मोंटेआई. व्हाई? As they grow older, health concerns, work-life balance, and the desire for more wholesome pursuits than binge drinking may curb the gamble, toasting culture heavy drinking, on which so much of the demand for Monteai rests for the time being, though the party goes on. Now see, here the simple logic is, now basically Monteais, it caters to the older demographics. Okay, older demographics or the middle aged. So now middle aged means 30 years. So and older demographics means 50 to 60 years. So 50 to 60 years people, they are going to pass away, right? And these 30 years people, they will become 50 to 60 years old. So millennials, with the passage of time, क्या हो जाएगा? That millennials, they will become the middle-aged people because they will also become 30 years of age. Now, because Monteai, it was not catering to the millennials, so obviously they were not in the habit of binge drinking. So by the time they are going to reach this particular age, they will become more health conscious. Okay, they will give importance to work-life balance, and obviously they are not going to go for binge drinking. So basically, if Monteai is targeting, okay, a 30-year middle age people, तो अगर यही millennials यहाँ पर आ जाएंगे, so obviously there is going to be a huge loss, and this is going to be a big risk for Monteai because now those people, they have become very health conscious. Clear? अब गैन भी यहाँ पर क्या होता है? It is basically a kind of traditional culture जहाँ पर people they go for heavy drinking, they go for binge drinking. So obviously millennials वहाँ पर उसको बाद में prefer नहीं करेंगे. For the time being, though the party goes on, but still the author says okay, there are certain risks, there are certain challenges, but then we cannot forget this thing that Monteai is a very popular and premier brand of China, and obviously its success is still going on. Okay, so we are done with the passage, and I think the passage was very easy. In fact, I can say that the flow of the passage was so neat and clean. Okay, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था that you have to read between the lines. Everything was so crystal clear. So let us move on to the questions and solve them one by one. Which one of the following is both a reason for Monteai's success as well as a possible threat? अब आप देख सकते हो, he is asking you the question कि which is the reason which works both as success also and possible threat also. Possible threat means risk to that success. Okay, it appeal to the rich. Okay, appeal to the rich means it caters to the elite. ठीक है, तो in the paragraph, in the passage, author has talked about the elite class as a success of Mottai's, but not as a possible threat. Threat की बात उसने कहाँ पर करी है? In the last two paragraphs of the passage. One, government interference, and second is millennials. Why millennials? Because when they are going to come to the age of 30. Clear? Government involvement in this business only as a risk, only as a threat, not as a success. And this only as a success, not as a threat. So obviously one is gone and second is also gone. It's appeal to the older age group. Now this can be the possible answer. Why? Because initially the reason of success was given. So author said that it catered to the older demographics. अब अगर वो older demographics को cater कर रहा था तो obviously it was being very successful. But then towards the end of the passage, that is in the last paragraph, author is also telling कि जो millennials है वो उसके लिए कैसे हो जाएंगे, रिस्क हो जाएगा. क्यों? क्योंकि millennials जो हैं they will come to the age of 30, and by the time they will like achieve this particular age, they won't be they won't be craving for binge drinking because they would have become very health conscious. तो obviously बाद में वही people जिनको वो cater कर रहे थे middle aged people को, so that become risk for them. Okay, so yes, third can be the answer. Chinese love of liquor fills celebration. Author has talked about the celebration also, that is Gabriel, but he has only talked about is as a heavy drinking or binge drinking. But here he has not talked about this particular thing as a success or as a risk. So again, this can be eliminated. So answer is going to be 3. Question 2. In the context of the passage, we can infer that to succeed in the liquor industry in China, a marketing firm must consider all of the following factors affecting the Chinese liquor market except. तो अब आपको यहाँ पे क्या करना है? Except question is given. It means we have to go for the false one, and 3 will be true. So let's see which are the 3 options which are consistent to the passage and which is inconsistent. The competition for winning over the middle class is very stiff. Yes, this we saw where the word cutthroat competition was given, और हमने वहाँ पर देखा था because the competition is so stiff that obviously many firms they could not survive. So yes, the competition was very stiff. It is inconsistent to the passage. We have to go for the false one, and this is the right one. So this cannot be the answer. There is money to be made from marketing to the middle class. So there is money to be made from marketing to the middle class. Is the author talking about this thing? I have little apprehension about this thing, so I am going to keep it aside because I am going to verify rest 2 options also. The government may control the pricing of products. Yes, it is true because government was being very meddlesome, very interfering, and obviously it was trying to put a cap on the pricing of Montai's also. So yes, this is again true. This cannot be the answer. There are few competitors to meet the demands of high-end liquor consumers. In one of the paragraphs we have studied that 73 million लोग वहाँ पर थे, तो obviously वो ज़्यादा पे कर सकते थे, तो वहाँ पर competitors क्या थे उसके लिए कम थे, तो that is also given in the paragraph. So this is also true. It means this cannot be the answer. But in the paragraph we are not talking about this thing that there is money to be made from marketing to the middle class. It was not like that. Okay, so this is eliminated, and I mean this is something which is not inconsistent to the passage. Therefore, this is the false one, and the answer is going to be 2 because we have to go for the except one. So 1, 3, and 4 they are given in the passage, but not the second one. In the context of the passage, it is most likely that the author refers to Mottai's marketing strategy as the unholy trinity because now unholy trinity was given in one of the paragraphs, and here there also I explained you completely. Then unholy trinity for Montai's is what? That it did not give importance to globalism. Okay. It did not give importance to non-elitism, rather it was being individual, it was catering to elite people. Okay, this is for Western business and this is for Monte Eyes. And third is what? Business, Western businesses, they were catering to millennials and it was catering to older demographics. So these three were the holy trinity for Monte Eyes and these were the unholy trinity. Clear? So now let's see the option. It profits from Chinese nationalist feelings? Of course not. Here we are not talking about that thing. It exposes the firm to long-term risk. Again, it is not given. Because here we have to see only in the context of the unholy trinity. It means something which is going against the goals or the measures which were being followed by Motteyes. Okay, it contradicts the Western strategy of marketing indeed, and this is what we discussed over here. There's nothing holy about marketing techniques for liquor. Obviously it was a national pride, so we can't say this thing again. So what is going to be the answer? It is going to be 3, because we have to go for the answer that talks about the unholy trinity. Question 4. The phrase would make it an invention to rival gunpowder has been used in the passage in a sense that is substantive, metaphorical, literal, synonymical. Synonymical. So I will take you back to the paragraph where this sentence is given. Now here you can see it also claims to be hangover proof, which would make it an invention to rival gunpowder. So basically here the author is saying that this brand of China, which is Mottei, इज बेसिकली हैंगओवर प्रूफ, मतलब उसको लेने से लोगों को हैंगओवर नहीं होता है, जो अपने आप में एक बहुत ही बड़ी माइलस्टोन डिस्कवरी है. और ऑथर हैज कंपेयर्ड टू दिस डिस्कवरी ऑफ मोतेआई टू द इन्वेंशन ऑफ गन पाउडर. But are they same in substance? No, they are not same in substance, because gunpowder is basically for defense and motea is basically an alcohol. Okay. So now let us see the options. First, substantive. Substantive here stands for substance. So as I told you just now that they were not equal in substance. Obviously उनकी importance वहाँ पर अलग थी. One was for defense and second was in alcohol. So this cannot be the answer. So here the author is asking us कि जो उसने comparison draw किया है, basically that is an example of metaphor or it has been used in a literal sense, or these two are synonyms. So when we say synonyms, synonyms means same. So are they same? Indeed, they are not even same. Okay. So this is eliminated and this is also eliminated. And in this statement, the author has drawn a comparison. Okay, यहाँ पर वो compare कर रहा है, और compare किससे कर रहा है? With the discovery of Mottei to the invention of gunpowder. So when gunpowder was invented, it actually changed the dynamic of all the regions. So was the case with the discovery of Mottei, because when even it was discovered, it also changed the dynamic of China. Okay, so it was not here used in a literal sense, but yes, it was an example. Therefore, the answer is going to be metaphorical, and metaphorical is a kind of figurative speech. ओके तो जैसा कि आप देख सकते हो कि लास्ट ईयर क्या 2024 में देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन व्हिच वाज ऑन फिगरेटिव डिवाइस, फिगरेटिव स्पीच, एंड टू क्वेश्चंस वर ऑन टोन. ओके, क्लियर? So why I'm saying you this thing, because normally people, they do not give much importance to literary devices, they do not give much importance to tone, but there were 3 questions which were actually doable, and that too without consuming a lot of time. So I hope you liked today's RC, and actually today's RC was very interesting. It was easy to read and understand. So stay tuned with some more upcoming videos. And if you have any doubt, you can always visit our website and give us a call. And if you are learning from this platform, then please do like, comment, and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.